joined by someone who actually has not done many UK interviews, if any at all, and their performance in Salaar has literally been, been so much loved on social media, and it's so wonderful to be joined by the very talented Sriya Reddy. So, Shreya, thank you so much for joining me, and a huge congratulations on Salaar.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Right. So, I mean, look, Shreya, this is what your sort of comeback film when it comes to cinema and theatrical releases. How does it feel to make such a powerful re-entry with a character like Radharama?
Wow, I love the way you say Radharama. It just had such zing to it. Oh God, I think it's been a crazy journey, from the time of actually accepting the film to the filming of it, which took a couple of years, and now finally releasing. It's just been phenomenal. I mean, I always knew Radharama will have her place in terms of being accepted in the terms of the character, but the kind of reception it has received, it's been phenomenal. Absolute phenomenal.
And it's quite interesting because if we look at like even the Bahubali series, like
Right,
Sivagami and all these very powerful women, even though
right.
they're centered on even Devasena, like all these characters have always really struck a chord with audiences. I mean, obviously not to make it into a sort of a gender sort of politics thing, but I guess in a film which is obviously, dominated by two very powerful male superstars, for you as a female character, as an actress, to really have that power, I mean, it must make you feel very proud, right?
Um, so at the very onset of Prashanth writing this character, we knew we had a winner.
Mm.
So we knew we wanted Radharama to be different. And when I say different, it was just not that, just generally how people say different. We wanted her to be very hatke. We wanted her to be out of the box. And I think at the very beginning, we did want this. And I think we've kind of achieved that. But a lot of hard work has gone into making sure that we don't replicate any other character.
Mm. Right.
So yeah, it was a very deliberate effort to make sure. But I think Prashanth knew exactly what he wanted. How from the time of how she walks, how she wears a sari, um, the way she delivers her dialogues. I
Sure.
think everything was very, very carefully decided on. So yeah.
Mm.
But I just like every time I would walk into the set, I would feel like a queen. Like, I would forget the cameras wouldn't be on, but I would just strut my way into the set, like as if this is my kingdom and I am the queen and all these people are just there, whatever. So I actually kind of loved walking in into these huge sets because it was very, very overwhelming because they're huge. What
Mm.
you see in the film, it is actually like that in real as well.
Right.
So it was quite overwhelming, but beautiful. The art director has done such a fantastic job, and Prashanth's vision has
Mm.
kind of actually come there. And yeah, it was quite an interesting experience.
And there's so many different layers as well to the character, isn't it? Like, obviously, there's that sense of pride, but then there's also that hint of arrogance as well. And like you mentioned, you sort of strut in there. But what would you say, perhaps, when you are playing a character like that? Because I often love to know about actors and how they usually introspect on their lives to really bring out that essence of their character. What would you say was areas that you tapped into your life to really bring out the character and bring out the authentic emotions within her?
Um, It was extremely tough in terms of the whole process of getting into Radharama's shoes. But having said that, I'm a bit of Radharama.
Mm.
And unless you have that little bit of each character in you, it's kind of, I don't know, you'll have to bring in something of yours into the character. And for me, the way Radharama talks, walks is very similar to the way I would do it in real life as well.
Mm.
But I remember Prashant telling me, like there was a particular scene where somebody comes and I'm welcoming them into my palace and I smile, which I would generally do in real. I would smile and say, please come in.
Mm.
And he came up to me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm saying the dialogues you're asking me to say." He was like, "No, but you're smiling." I'm like, "So?" He's like, "No, Radharama never smiles."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you never smile. Radharama never ever smiles." So these are the small nuances which he had to correct.
Mm.
But otherwise, it was all the time on guard.
Mm.
Every time Radha Rama she delivers her dialogue or she's in front of the camera, it is always very precise. She knows what she's saying. She doesn't say more than what those words are meant to say.
Mm.
So that was a little difficult because you're always clenching your mouth, and it's like always like that.
Mm.
That's the way he wanted the dialogues to be delivered. So for me it was like literally I had a jaw ache end of the schedule. But yeah, so those were the little things that I needed to learn and unlearn a few things which
Mm.
he wanted.
Mm.
But overall, I think there was 50% of me already in Radharama.
Mm. I think the set creation was stunning as well. I mean, was there, I mean, tell me, was there like a lot of green screen work that was there, or was there a
There
lot of.
was there was a very little, but what you see is exactly what it was like the set.
Oh, wow.
The three big pillars that you see behind the thing, the throne, everything is very original. There was nothing. There was no green mat on those particular things, but yeah, I think the art director and Prashant were very, very clear with what they wanted. So each set was like huge and so intricately done. So they had put in a lot of effort in.
Hmm. Right. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, this is like your comeback. And
Right.
obviously you did a very beautiful OTT venture called Sural, which was honestly fantastic, fantastic content from Prime Video. Um, and your character was loved again for that. Oh, Shreya, what made you sort of take a break beforehand? And during that break, how introspective did you feel as an artist at that point?
In a way, I could, if today I have to sit back and say, probably good I waited, because if I hadn't waited, I wouldn't have got a Regina from Sulal or a Radharama from Salaar. But the emotional turmoil that I did go through for the long period of time that I wasn't acting is something that only I know. But there was a huge turmoil that went into in my head mentally. I was pretty okay with the fact that I wasn't acting because that was a choice. But the constant, when people would see me, they would constantly tell me, "You're so talented. What are you doing sitting at home?" And that would kind of churn my entire head. And that's when I would like, "Oh my god, what am I doing?" But the huge emotional turmoil that I went through, I did go through it. And in all of that, I had made up my mind that I will come back, but when I come back, I will come back with a bang. I was not ready to come back with anything which was mediocre. I wanted something huge. I wanted something out of the box. And if I wasn't getting that, I had told myself that I wouldn't come back.
And that is extremely powerful, I must tell you. And I think when you look at the, because the body of work that you've done, they have been, like you said, hatke. And I think that definitely defines you and your creative decisions as an artist as well. I mean, I think that film that you did with the Priyadarshan Kanchivaram, like that was also again a very art house sort of take on Priyadarshan's films, which usually are very commercial. Even if you look at Samurai. Again, that was a very, even though it had its like sort of commercial feel, but it was still quite different. You've always had this distinct voice, haven't you? I guess when you are distinct and when you have this unique sort of idea for cinema, how tough is it actually for you as an artist? Because it's never easy to always be different or have that voice, right?
It is different, and it is difficult because um, the path that you choose is very niche, right?
Hmm.
And the offers that come for women, especially in that niche space, is very far in between. And but that's a choice that I don't think I will settle to do something which is just okay or mediocre. That doesn't drive me, and unless I have the fire in me, um then for me the performance doesn't come out. And for me, money and fame is not my driving force.
Hmm.
The driving force is the character, the role that I want to play. Even
Right.
if it doesn't involve money, even if it doesn't involve a big star cast or a big production house, it doesn't matter to me. As long as what I am playing drives me and has the fire in me going, then I would probably do it. It really um yeah, I'm very particular, and I don't care if it's a niche market that I cater to. And I'm okay, because see, once you put what you want, you put out there, eventually it might take time, but it'll come to you.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
and the thing is as well, the most interesting thing is that you've worked with some of the biggest stars in South Indian cinema in your films. But yet again, like I said, your roles have not been of flower pot characters, you know? And again, I would love to know, maybe just to break down that whole idea of different and distinct and niche. What what do you think really appeals to you? Do you feel like maybe a fractured sense, or maybe someone who is perhaps an underdog? Because even if we look at Radharama, because what happens with her over these years, like, she's waiting for Deva to come back, right? Even if we look at that, it almost seems very ironic with you and the sort of characters that you've done, because like I said, they've always been very strong women.
See, first and foremost, one needs to make it feel believable. And if I have the opportunity, and I have what do I say? If I'm able to make it work and make it believable, because I feel whatever you do, you need to make it feel very believable. And that's when the audience takes to the character. So if I'm able to make something believable, and I know I have the capability of doing so, then I take that particular character up. And be it Radha Rama or be it Regina and Sulal, there's a lot of work that goes into it. It is not something where the director comes, gives you the script, and says, you know what, just enact it. No, it doesn't work that way. At least with me, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of homework, if you may say so, goes into it. And I bring in my entire being into that particular role.
Hmm.
So if there is enacting, like for Regina, when she loses her son, for me, I feel a personal loss, and that's how the emotion comes out.
Hmm.
So in Radha Rama, when she feels dejected, when she feels angry, and she's waiting for, she wants to regain her throne again. That is something which I feel again. I mean, I'm not enacting it just for that 1 minute. There is a particular couple of hours that goes into getting into that role, getting into that part for that moment, and it takes another couple of hours to actually get out of it, because I'm not a method actor, and since I'm not a very seasoned actor, it I can't do it like this. So my way is, I need to get into it. It takes a couple of hours. Then I'm actually filming it for those few hours, and then I need some more time to get out of it. And I take my characters very, very seriously, and I go very in depth into it. So it becomes a part of me.
That's amazing. And I think I love the way Prashant really, saw that in you. And I'm glad that, he gave that opportunity for you. But I think it's really wonderful as well, because obviously when we look at, like, I mean, the fact that you're the former Indian Test cricketer Bharath Reddy's daughter. And that is, I mean, when you are a sports personality who is obviously very well known, their daughter, do you feel like that ever sort of came with any maybe expectations or maybe intrigue towards you as well as an artist?
I don't think I had to deal with that part of it, but I had that opportunity, and I was very grateful that I didn't have to do a movie for money, right? So I was extremely, maybe you could say, the privileged one, or I was extremely grateful that I had the opportunity to choose or not to do certain projects and go only after what made my heart and mind click. So coming from a particular background, I had only that advantage. Because when you come in front of the camera and when you get a particular project, they only look at you as an actor and what you can bring to the table. Nothing else really matters. And what I really got from my dad was the cricketers. Let's talk about cricket here because I know the subject.
Yes.
Cricketers, when they come onto the field, and when you know that they have 2 runs out of 1 ball that they need to get to win the match, there is more than the technical aspect. It is the mind that comes into play. And that is why people like greats like your Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, they have MS Dhoni, they have that ability to be strong in your mind because of the way you are conditioned, right? Sports people are conditioned in a particular way.
Hmm.
And I have that opportunity to be that because I'm an athlete myself in school and college. And I still train as an athlete till date.
Hmm.
In fact, I'm in my workout outfit. So after my interview, I am going to go and work out. For
It's
me,
amazing.
yeah, for me, I can't sleep at night knowing that I haven't worked out. So that is where my alignment and balance is. And my focus comes from fitness. Focus comes from being a sports person. So that ability I have got from my dad.
Hmm. And I have to say to you, Shreya, like I think speaking with you, like right now, I can see that very like you're someone who definitely knows what you want out of life. And you definitely seem to be someone who really has learned and has really grown as a person. I can
Yeah.
feel that through, the way you present yourself. Do you think because you are an athlete and because you've had that training, so to speak, do you think that's also had a very positive impact on your mindset too and the way you articulate?
Of course, it just goes without saying it. It definitely goes without saying. So when you told me how did you deal with not working in films and acting for 16 years, this helped me. My mindset helped me because I never gave up. I might have not said it to anybody around me, but in my mind, I knew I was coming back. I knew when I was coming back, I was coming back with a big something big
Hmm.
because of my mindset. I never gave up in my mind.
Hmm.
Maybe it took this long, but I never gave up. So the sporting background really, really helped. And even when I was performing for Radharama, they were dialogues written few hours before, and they would give me these dialogues, and they were very complicated dialogues. And coming back after so many years, being pitted against top actors who are so seasoned,
Hmm.
it was extremely difficult. And I don't like to be amongst people and feel underconfident. That is something that I can't do. And
Hmm.
I felt like that most of the times. The only thing that kept me going during those times were my mindset.
Hmm.
In my mind, I knew I was bloody good. You bring any actor in front of me, I will hold my ground.
I love that.
It is a mindset. It is a mindset that, kind of helped me in all these situations.
But I feel this Indian film industry generally, like I mentioned again about when you are distinct, how difficult it is. But I feel again, actresses especially, or actors generally, to be very honest, when they don't fit the conventional girl next door or boy next door image, they're suddenly offered very edgy characters and they're suddenly pushed into a different direction because some may claim because audiences might not accept them, but then I also feel it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation because, whatever you you cater is what the audience sees, and that becomes a demand, right? So, do you feel like you've also had to fight stereotypes as well? Because you're also a producer, which is such an amazing thing. So do you feel like you've had to fight a certain stereotype within this industry because you don't fit any sort of conventions or perhaps a system or a box that they've created?
Um, Initially, I might have felt a teeny weeny bit, but beyond that, I do not want to be running the race that everybody's running. So that never really bothered me. I wanted to run my own race on my own track. So I was very clear with that. So it didn't bother me at all because I definitely didn't want to do something that I was watching people do. There were one or two maybe nice performances of my contemporaries where I might have seen and said, you know what, maybe I could have got something like this. Maybe I should, maybe, I could have done it in a different way. Maybe if I had done it, it would have been nice. So, yes, that might have been there, but I am very happy in the track that I'm running in. And yeah, it is a lonely track. People do put you in that because I don't fit into this delicate fair, petite women that most Indian people like. I mean, and I'm okay with that because I like to be different. I'm dark. I love to be brown skin. I love to be fit. I don't like to be skinny. And I'm not petite in any standard. And I don't want to cater to the people who like all of that. So there is a different section that is there. And I'm happy that that section likes me, So how do
Absolutely.
you yeah, but how do you think like today you said it like Radharama people are liking? Why do people like Radharama? She doesn't fit into any mold.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And do you know what? This is exactly what I was going to say. I feel like the dynamics have changed so much as well. I mean, even if we look at even in Hindi cinema, for example, like Dimple Kapadia ma'am doing a role in Pathan, for example. I mean, it's such a rare thing. And then obviously then she done another series called Saas Bahu or Flamingo where she's playing
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about that.
exactly. So the shift that we're seeing is that we're seeing now, and I think it's great that, the movements that have happened, especially in the West, with the whole Me Too movement, the whole talk about feminism, I think it's genuinely had a huge positive impact as well in terms of the roles that are written now for women as well. Being someone who is obviously a producer yourself, where you can sort of impact a way a film is also made. What changes would you like to bring into a film whenever you decide to produce next as well?
I don't see myself producing in the near future, but if I do, I think I'm not one of those women who say, you know what, I want to do only women oriented, and I want to do films that where women are a driving force. And I'm not one of those kind of if at all a producer, I wouldn't want to do that. But I will make women be heard, be seen equally.
Hmm.
I think the problem lies in our society. I'm sorry that I'll have to go out to be, to answer this question, because I feel women are taught, including me, where we are taught to put our head down for certain things, not to look into somebody's eye and have a conversation or have an argument. It is okay to step back. It is okay to be invisible. It is okay to be a doormat. It is okay to be not heard,
Hmm.
right? So I feel I would like to kind of change these small aspects and have women kept in the same platform as a man in a film. I'm not saying it should be a woman oriented or the woman should be driving the entire thing. It doesn't have to be. But having an equal space, yes.
Equality, absolutely. Oh,
Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree with you. That's what feminism is, right? It is about equality, essentially, right? It's equal darja hona chahiye. Because क्या हो
Yeah,
रहा है the बलरा भारी हो रहा है एक gender की तरफ, and I think that's been an issue which has been so ongoing for so many years, and I'm so glad you mentioned this. Honestly,
yeah,
it's
I think, yeah, equality is great. I think it, and I think it is up to us, today's generation, to kind of make that change for the future, right? So unless we make these small changes, and through films, because films are a huge people do look at films as inspiration. Every child, everybody watches the movies we make. So we need to start putting in these small aspects into films which can change the future.
absolutely, and equality की बात हम कर रहे हैं. Uh, and I'm loving this whole pan-India movement that's happened in Indian cinema. I think it's been so highly due, and I think because of how fractured the Indian society has been for the longest amount of time, I feel like these distinctions have really been quite post-colonial ones, if I'm honest, if not a lot more deep-rooted than
Right.
before. But through cinema, how positive and confident do you now feel about, uh, North and South and this whole melting pot of pan-Indian films, like I mentioned, sort of happening now?
I think it's a welcome change, because I think it should be called Indian cinema, right? It shouldn't be having that north south divide. And I think that needs to stop. And I think with films like Bahubali, KGF, and all these films that have started, I think the divide is getting smaller. Uh, there is the friction still, but I think let's be optimistic and let's be positive. The change is happening, and I think it's a great welcome change where pan India films are doing well.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at what Salaar as well, I mean, it literally defines Pan India. What is produced by a Kannada production house, Home Bale Films, right? It's starring like a Telugu superstar, megastar Prabhas. It's got a Malayalam superstar, Prithviraj. Got a well-known actor from Hindi films, Tino Anand. So I mean, if you look at that, I mean, it's quite a definition of Pan India, isn't it? Already.
Yes, absolutely. And I think now subjects are such that, and as we speak today, I was just reading reviews, and the film is doing extremely well in the Hindi belt. People are loving Salar up in the north. People are going and flocking theaters and watching the film because they kind of love Prashanth Neel's template. People have loved KGF. So on basis of that, people are going and watching Salar, and people are loving it. People love Prabhas after Bahubali.
Yeah, definitely.
So the gone are the days where we think that we needed only a hero that they identified with. So they are identifying with people like a Prabhas, a Yash from KGF. So the divide is becoming smaller.
I wasn't gonna ask you this question because I was like, I didn't know, I didn't really think it was appropriate, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Like, there's this whole like, I'm sure you've seen social media and this sort of conflict that's going on between Donkey and Salar. I don't think people realize that both the films are such polar opposite movies and so
Absolutely, yes.
and having seen both, I can definitely vouch that there is a very different. There's see, how do you feel when you see like these sort of divides on social media per se? Because we were talking about coming together and uniting, but when you still see these sort of opinions on these two different films, does that sometimes make you feel a little bit sad and concerned sometimes?
Yeah, I do feel a bit sad, because I feel like, why so much of hatred, right? And like you said, they're two so different films in terms of genre. And we all love a Shah Rukh Khan's film. I mean, we all grew up watching Shah Rukh Khan, and Shah Rukh Khan is my favorite actor. And Raju Hirani is one of the finest filmmakers we have in our country. So appreciating another film, yes, of course. And I think today, the way the Indian film industry is set in terms of the theaters, distribution, and all of that, there is space for two films of this magnitude to come and survive.
Hmm.
You're right. So there are people like, say, my parents would want to watch a donkey, right?
Hmm.
At that age, people would want to watch a donkey. There are people, my friends, and probably the younger lot of them, who probably would want to watch a Salaar.
Yeah.
Right, so there are mix of people who would want to watch both films. And I think, and from, I mean, I'm not a great person to know this particular information, but from the people who I've spoken to, people say that two big films can come and can survive.
Yeah, of course,
It's
definitely.
got space for two films with all the theaters in all the cities.
And you know the interesting thing about Salaar as well, and I didn't realize this as well until afterwards, that there's also a very interesting dystopian feel to it. And I think that's such a rare thing where Indian cinema has managed to create. I mean, we had a Hindi film which attempted that earlier this year, which unfortunately did not do very well, and it wasn't a very effective piece of cinema. But Solar seems to have done that very well. Do you think that this could also pave way for more dystopian and more stylish masala films to sort of be made? Because I think everyone's a bit exhausted by the same sort of stuff, and I think Solar seems to offer that sense of freshness as well with audiences.
Absolutely, I think audiences have become far more intelligent than what we could think or imagine, right?
Yeah.
You can't keep churning out rubbish and throwing it at them and thinking that they're going to lap it up.
Yes.
That ain't happening anymore. Maybe 5 years ago, probably yes. So the new age filmmakers are obviously wanting something to do something different, right? So the older filmmakers are actually trying to cater again, trying to say, because they also know that you can't cater and say, okay, you know what, we'll just do this and try and trick the audience. They can't do that anymore. So you have to find new templates. You need to find new ways. If you see the action also, from the time action we've seen 5, 10 years ago is very different from today's action, right?
Yeah. True. True.
Uh, I watched this film Animal recently,
Mm.
and I mean, yeah, there was an overload of action. Yes, of course, they had. Did I have issues with certain amount of the certain things in the film? Yes, of course, I had issues with it. But did I think that it was out of the box? Did I think that that whole, he took that step where he said, you know what, I want to make something different? Yeah, he did make something
You
different.
understood the assignment for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, uh, like, I really like the way the fights were choreographed in terms of, I'm also, I don't like violence, but if you put violence in front of me, I would like it to be choreographed in a different way.
Hmm.
And the way Sandeep Reddy Vanga choreographed those fights, I was like, dude, where did he think of all of this? There was something really fantastic.
And we were talking about Pan India. I mean, that again was another example of that. So many sold out shows were going in, even in the southern languages. Like that's pretty amazing, to be fair.
Yes, Animal did very, very well in the South, fantastically well.
It's amazing. No, it's so fascinating. I'm curious to know, Shreya, आप हिंदी में कब काम कर रहे हो? Because मुझे आपकी जो I really would love to. This so like after seeing you in, because do forgive me, I've not seen a lot of your films, but obviously after seeing you in Salar, I really am so fascinated to see you do a Hindi movie or a Hindi series. Any sort of updates on that front? Have you been approached for anything yet?
I have. After Sulal, I did get a lot of offers from OTT space. But then again, I'm so particular in what I want to be seen in. Just because I'm an actor from the South, you're not going to give me something and say, oh, come and do this. No, that ain't happening with me. I want something which is going to be like Radharama, like, something which is out of the box. And that's what will excite me. So unless I get something super exciting, and I would do it. But otherwise, no.
Ah, good, good. No, but you have to deed banna padta hai na, because I feel like,
Yeah.
because if you don't, I remember someone telling me this as well. It's like if you don't respect yourself, no one will respect you, right? It's that
Yeah,
kind of a
absolutely.
thing, and I think it comes to the same as films. Okay, the future ki baat karte hain. I think you've got some exciting stuff lined up, right? In terms of releases. Are you
Yeah.
in a film called OG, which is obviously
Yes.
an action thriller, which has what Pawan Kalyan, Imran Hashmi in the leads. It's a Sujit film. What can you tell me about that? Because I'm sure a lot of the fans would be excited to know
Oh
about.
my God. I'm really, really waiting to go and watch that movie first day, first show, because till I met PK Sir, he's very fondly, we call him PK Sir. Um, I didn't know how big he was. Like I couldn't even imagine. And I'm like, every time I go out, people are like, oh my God, you're working with our God. And I'm like, who? They're like, you're working with our God. I'm like, it took me a while to understand who the God is. And he is phenomenal. People love him, you know. And when I met him during shooting, and he's such a wonderful person, you know. He's so well read, so well spoken, and such a nice person. And he is such a secure actor that he
Hmm.
doesn't mind you taking center stage,
Right. Yes.
you know. And that very rarely that happens, and especially being a woman, he doesn't allow you to take centers. I mean, most people would kind of be a little intimidated. Here he was like, come, do what you want to, you take center stage, you want to do whatever. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, you just do it, as long as I'm standing behind, I don't care. So, you know, he's a very, very secure actor and very secure person. So working with him has been such an absolute pleasure, and I'm so grateful that I'm a part of that project, because it is kick-ass.
And it's another
It,
gangster backdrop again, as
yeah.
well. So
Yeah,
it's
but I'm not, thankfully, I'm not playing anything negative in this. But it's so interesting that it's got a lot of what do I say? A lot of layers. The character as such it has a character arc. So she is
Hmm.
strong, she's powerful, she's vulnerable, she's she's a mother, she just plays so many different kind of emotions she has to play in it, which is so exciting as an actor that I'm able to do that, right? In such a
Hmm.
platform. So yeah, I'm super excited. What a fantastic script. Sujit is
Oh,
just, I'm super excited.
amazing. But again, unintentionally, I'm sure you didn't really decide to come back with two back-to-back gangsters for the
No,
backdrop.
this came out of nowhere. This came out of absolute nowhere. But yeah, I'm just quite grateful that it has happened.
Right. Well, look, I think sometimes the decisions that come up unintentionally and spontaneous decisions.
No, it is the faith and hope you have in life.
Yeah, that's true. That manifests into everything.
That
That's so true.
absolutely manifests. So and it's only you who can have that faith and hope on yourselves.
Absolutely. No, so wonderful, Shreya. No, it's been such a pleasure to have you on Filme
Thank you
Shilmy.
so
Honestly,
much.
Shreya, thank you so much for joining me. Honestly, like I feel like I've learned so much about you, and I'm so fascinated to like watch some of your films now and like revisit some of your works. I we had very little time. Like I had very little time to watch to prep for our interview today, but from what I have heard, I mean, I just think you're such a force to be reckoned with, and I think your
Thank you
performance
so much. It
that
means
is
a lot.
I think a performance in Salaar is going to be a very huge talking point, and it's quite interesting in both Salaar and Donkey, even though it's has two fantastic male superstars who are brilliant in the films. The two females leads have been such talked about. You in obviously Salaar, and then Tapsi Pannu in Donkey, and I'm so happy to see that. And I think it's such a great progress for Indian cinema generally. And wishing you
So
all the
as
best.
long as there are men like you who appreciate us, I think we are on a good, clean slate to move forward.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you. Thank you very much, Shreya. Well,
Thank
wishing
you
you all
so
the very
much.
best and cannot wait to
Thank you
catch up
so
with you
much.
super soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.